Beloved chosen one, something sacred is happening around you right now, and deep in your spirit you can already feel it. There is a stillness that does not come from emptiness, and there is a pressure that does not come from fear. It comes from the nearness of heaven. You are not imagining this shift. You are not becoming overly emotional. You are not reading too much into the signs that have surrounded your days and interrupted your nights. 2 angels have arrived because you followed every step he planned. And that truth is bigger than your present confusion, bigger than your recent pain, and bigger than the silence that tried to make you question whether God was still moving at all. You have walked through seasons when nothing made sense. You have stood in places where your obedience cost you comfort, where your yes to God separated you from people who only understood you when you were easier to control. You have had moments when you wanted clear answers, but heaven gave you only enough light for the next step. And still, you moved. Still, you trusted. Still, you chose not to turn back. That is why this moment carries so much weight. These angels have not come because you lived a perfect life. They have come because you kept walking when the road became lonely. They have come because your spirit remained yielded when your flesh wanted relief. They have come because your feet kept following the path heaven marked out for you, even when your eyes could not yet see where it would lead. There were times you thought you were behind, but you were being positioned. There were times you thought you were being denied, but you were being protected. There were times you thought God had gone quiet, but he was actually drawing the boundaries of your next season with such precision that even your disappointments had purpose. What felt like delay was often divine restraint. What felt like isolation was often consecration. What felt like loss was often the removal of what could not go where you are now being led. You did not survive all of that by accident. You were escorted through it. You were watched over in moments you never noticed. You were kept from traps you never saw. And now the veil is thinning around this chapter of your life because heaven is making it known that your obedience has reached a point of visitation. Do not dismiss this word because your situation still looks unfinished. Angels do not only arrive when everything is settled. Many times they arrive when the assignment is intensifying, when the transition is underway, when your spirit needs confirmation that the steps you took in trembling were still the right ones. This is not coincidence. This is divine intervention. The enemy wanted you to believe that nothing was changing, because as long as you thought nothing was happening, you would be tempted to stop one step before breakthrough. But God does not send this kind of message to entertain your emotions. He sends it to awaken your discernment. He sends it to strengthen your posture. He sends it to remind you that heaven has not lost your address. Chosen one. There is a reason your spirit has been more alert lately. There is a reason certain conversations have started feeling heavy, and certain places no longer feel safe for your soul. There is a reason you have felt both exhausted and sharpened at the same time. When angelic activity increases, your sensitivity often increases with it. You begin to notice what drains you. You begin to recognize what distracts you. You begin to feel the difference between what is merely urgent and what is truly holy. That is because you are being brought into greater alignment. The steps you took in faith were not small in the courts of heaven. What looked ordinary on earth was being recorded as obedience above. And obedience has a sound. It rises, it speaks, it calls forth assistance. It opens doors no human hand can open. So hear this with the seriousness it deserves. Do not shrink back now. Do not minimize what God has been doing in you. Do not hand your confidence over to the voices that only speak from appearances. You are closer than you think. The reason warfare increased is because movement increased. The reason resistance grew is because your direction became clearer. Darkness does not rage at people who are standing still. It reacts when someone keeps moving in step with the will of God. Your movement has made hell uncomfortable. Your endurance has become a testimony before the battle is even over. Your continued yes has announced to the unseen realm that you cannot be bought by comfort, and you cannot be permanently turned by fear. Right here, take this as your moment of agreement. Comment 777 as a sign that your spirit is still in alignment with the steps God planned for you. And now keep listening, because this matters. The arrival of these angels is not merely about rescue. It is about confirmation. It is about covering. It is about the sacred message that your path, though narrow, has not been empty. Every tear you shed in private, every act of restraint no one applauded, every prayer you whispered when your strength was low, every time you refused to become bitter, every time you chose purity over impulse, every time you stayed when it would have been easier to run, it all mattered. Heaven does not overlook hidden obedience. God does not waste surrendered steps. The path He planned for you has required trust at a level many people never accept. And because you stayed with Him, you are now standing at the edge of a visitation that will change how you see your season. You are not abandoned. You are not late. You are not wandering. You are being met. 2 angels have arrived because you followed every step He planned. And this is only the beginning of what their presence means. Stand still in your spirit. Guard your peace. Keep your heart clean. Listen closely. What is approaching your life now carries the fingerprint of God, and no force of darkness will be able to cancel what heaven has already set into motion for you. You begin to understand that this moment did not appear out of nowhere. Heaven does not send this kind of nearness to a soul that has been drifting without direction. It comes to the one who kept moving, even while carrying questions that never seemed to receive full answers. You obeyed in fragments. You trusted in pieces, and you followed God one step at a time. And now the weight of that obedience is becoming visible. This is why your spirit has felt stretched and steady at the same time. Something holy has been forming beneath the surface of your ordinary days. And the arrival of these 2 angels is tied to a pattern you have been living for longer than you realize. That pattern is the path of a person who walks when he cannot yet see the whole landscape. This is why the story of Abraham fits so deeply into what is unfolding around you now. Abraham did not begin with a full map. He began with a call. He was told to leave what was familiar, to step away from the place that had shaped his routines, and to go toward a promise that would only become clearer through obedience. That is where your heart meets His story. You have also been called to leave behind versions of safety that were never meant to define your future. You have also had to loosen your grip on what felt known, not because you were reckless, but because God was leading you beyond what human certainty could provide. Abraham's strength was not that he understood everything at once. His strength was that he kept responding. He moved because he trusted the one who spoke. He built his life around a voice higher than public opinion, higher than the pressure to stay where he had always been, higher than the fear of what might happen if he obeyed and looked foolish in the eyes of others. That is the kind of obedience that reshapes history. And that is the kind of obedience that is being honored in your life right now. The steps you have taken may not have looked dramatic to people around you, but in the realm of the Spirit they carried the same signature. You kept walking because something in you knew that partial light from God was still better than full agreement with a place He never assigned to you. There were days when Abraham must have wondered how the promise would ever come together. He had the word of God, yet time kept passing. He had direction, yet the fulfillment did not arrive at the speed he might have preferred. That tension is familiar to you. You know what it is to hold a promise while staring at conditions that seem to contradict it. You know what it is to keep your heart open when the evidence around you tries to teach you resignation. But the lesson woven through Abraham's journey is not that delay means absence. The lesson is that God often matures the vessel while preparing the promise. He teaches endurance before manifestation. He deepens trust before arrival. He makes the soul strong enough to carry what heaven has already decided to release. This is why you cannot measure this season by appearances alone. Abraham's path looked uncertain to the natural eye, yet every step was being counted. Every altar he built was a sign that he still believed. Every forward movement declared that God's instruction mattered more than his comfort. In the same way, your private acts of obedience have spoken louder than you know. The prayers no one heard, the temptations you refused, the bitterness you would not entertain, the doors you did not force open, the relationships you released when God said they could not come with you. These were altars too. These were signs that your heart was still yielded. And because of that, heaven is not meeting you as a stranger. It is meeting you as one who has already been walking in covenant. There is a tenderness in this that you must not miss. God did not demand perfection from Abraham before leading him further. He asked for trust. He did not reveal everything before requiring movement. He asked for surrender. That is also what he has been asking of you. Not flawless performance, not endless striving. Surrender. Each time you chose obedience over panic, you were saying yes in the same spirit. Each time you kept moving without full clarity, you were standing in the old path of faith that Abraham knew so well. And that path has always been costly, because it requires you to let God's voice become more real than your fear. The beauty of Abraham's journey is that the promise did not die because the road was long. It survived the waiting. It survived the testing. It survived the silence between one instruction and the next. That is a word for your spirit now. What God marked for your life has not been erased by the difficulty of the process. It has not been canceled by the slowness of human timing. It has not been defeated by the loneliness of obedience. The same God who watched over Abraham's journey has been watching over yours, and the same faithfulness that preserved him has been surrounding you in ways you are only now beginning to discern. So when these two angels arrive in the atmosphere of your life, they do not arrive disconnected from your story. They arrive as witnesses to a path you have already been walking. They arrive near the place where endurance and promise begin to touch. They arrive to remind you that obedient steps are never wasted, even when they are taken through uncertainty. As it is written, by faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 8. That is the rhythm you have been living, and that is why this moment is so sacred. You have been going out by faith, and now heaven is drawing near to confirm that the path was real all along. What makes this even more profound is that heaven has not only seen your movement, it has answered it. There are seasons when obedience feels quiet, almost hidden, as though your choices are disappearing into silence without witness, without response, without any visible sign that they matter. But that is never the full truth. The unseen realm does not measure faithfulness the way the world does. People often celebrate noise, speed, and results they can point to with their hands. God watches the deeper thing. He watches the soul that keeps saying yes after disappointment. He watches the heart that remains soft after betrayal. He watches the person who continues to walk in reverence even after prayers seem to hang in the air unanswered. That kind of obedience is never ignored. It gathers weight. It rises before him. It becomes a testimony. This is where Abraham's journey continues to speak directly into your own. There were long stretches in his life when the promise seemed distant, almost too large to hold with human logic. Yet heaven was not absent in those stretches. Heaven was observing. Heaven was marking every altar, every relocation, every act of trust, every decision to remain aligned with the voice that first called him out. Abraham was not just moving through geography, he was moving through formation. Every place he passed through was teaching him to rely less on appearances and more on the one who had spoken. That same formation has been happening in you. The path has not only been taking you somewhere, it has been making you into someone. You may have thought your greatest struggle was the waiting itself, but often the deeper struggle is what waiting tries to do to your identity. Waiting tries to make you feel forgotten. It tries to make you compare your road with the road of others. It tries to convince you that obedience has left you with less while compromise appears to reward everyone around you. But when you remain faithful in that place, something remarkable happens. Your spirit begins to detach from the need for constant proof. Your trust grows roots. Your hearing sharpens. Your peace stops depending on speed. That is when heaven knows you can carry more, because you are no longer living only by what can be seen. Abraham knew this kind of testing. His life was shaped by the tension between what God had said and what the natural world seemed to allow. Yet the waiting did not destroy the call. It refined the man. And that matters for you now. Because the arrival of these two angels is not merely a sign that God noticed your pain. It is a sign that He noticed your perseverance. He noticed how you kept your integrity when it would have been easier to manipulate. He noticed how you kept praying when your emotions wanted to shut down. He noticed how you guarded your soul when bitterness tried to enter through disappointment. He noticed how you chose the slower road of obedience rather than the easier road of self-will. These things are precious in His sight. There is a sacred comfort in knowing that heaven is not late. It is precise. It arrives when the season is ready, when the soul has been prepared, when the next instruction will not crush you but strengthen you. So if you have been wondering whether your hidden obedience mattered, let this settle into you deeply. It mattered. It matters now. It will continue to matter. You are not standing in a random chapter. You are standing in the response to many private yeses that only God fully witnessed. That is why this atmosphere around you feels different. That is why discernment is increasing. That is why what once distracted you now feels empty. You are being brought nearer to the heart of what He planned. And as this message reaches you, let it also become something you carry with open hands. If it is strengthening your spirit, let your quiet agreement become visible. A gentle like helps this message reach another weary heart. Sharing it may place this exact word in front of someone who is close to giving up. Subscribing helps you stay connected to what is being poured out in this space as the journey continues. And if you have the desire to support this work more deeply, there is also a way to donate through the description, helping these words keep reaching those who need encouragement in fragile moments. None of this is pressure. It is simply an invitation to become part of the flow of comfort, warning, and hope that God often sends through simple obedience. What matters most is that you stay awake in your spirit. Abraham stayed near the voice, and because he stayed near the voice, he could recognize divine movement when it came. That is what you are learning now. Recognition. Not every soul knows how to discern when heaven is drawing close, because many have trained themselves to only trust what is obvious. But your path has trained you differently. The wilderness taught you to listen. The delay taught you to lean in. The sorrow taught you to value what is eternal. And now that sensitivity is becoming part of your protection. You are beginning to sense what belongs in your next season and what must not cross into it. This is why your obedience is so dangerous to darkness. It is not just that you survived. It is that you remained teachable. It is that you did not let pain make you unreachable. It is that you kept your face turned toward God even when the landscape around you looked barren. That posture is powerful. Abraham carried it. And because he carried it, generations were tied to his yes before he could even fully see what his obedience would unlock. In the same way, your present faithfulness reaches further than your current understanding. There are outcomes connected to your obedience that you cannot yet measure. Lives that will be touched, doors that will open, chains that will break because you chose to keep following every step He planned. Heaven has watched that choice, and heaven has responded. The deeper truth is that not every test looks like a battle. Some tests look like silence. Some look like waiting with dignity when your heart wants immediate closure. Some look like continuing to trust God while standing in a chapter that offers no applause, no visible reward, and no explanation that satisfies the human mind. That is the kind of place where many people quietly drift. They do not always turn away in one dramatic moment. Sometimes they simply grow tired of holding on. Sometimes they begin to make peace with less than what God spoke. Sometimes they let disappointment tutor them more deeply than faith. But you have been walking through a different kind of refining. And that is why this moment has such weight over your life. Abraham knew this refining well. His journey was not only about leaving his homeland. It was also about remaining aligned when the promise seemed to move slower than his own longing. He had to live with the tension of hearing from God and then continuing forward through stretches where very little seemed to change. That tension exposes what is truly ruling the heart. It reveals whether a person follows God only when the outcome is quick, or whether they trust Him deeply enough to stay when the process becomes longer than expected. You have been living inside that same question, and the answer has been seen in the choices you made when no one else understood the cost. There were moments in Abraham's life when he could have settled for appearances, when he could have mistaken delay for denial, when he could have let the visible world rewrite what heaven had spoken. Yet again and again, the deeper invitation was to remain in covenant. That is what has also been asked of you. Remain. Remain when your emotions tremble. Remain when your mind grows tired. Remain when old thoughts try to tell you that obedience is too expensive. Remain when easier roads appear before you, glittering with convenience but lacking the breath of God. The test before the encounter is often this simple and this hard. Will you keep walking with Him when the path feels bare? This is why your recent struggles have felt so personal. The pressure was not random. It was pressing against your agreement with God. The enemy did not need you to become openly rebellious all at once. He only needed you to become weary enough to stop expecting heaven to meet you. He only needed you to treat your obedience as pointless. He only needed you to call your holy restraint a waste. But you did not fully surrender to that lie, even in weakness. You kept leaning toward God, even with questions. You stayed near, even in the ache of not understanding everything. You did not fully let go of the path. That matters more than you know. Abraham's story carries this same sacred pressure. He was not formed in one shining instant. He was formed through repeated moments of trust. He learned that the God who calls is also the God who sustains. He learned that the voice that leads you out is the same voice that keeps you steady in unfamiliar territory. He learned that promise and process are not enemies. They walk together. And as you look at your own life, you can begin to see that what felt like empty stretches were not empty at all. They were forming spiritual muscle. They were teaching you to hear beyond emotion. They were teaching you not to confuse urgency with direction. They were teaching you that God's pace is not abandonment, it is wisdom. This is where many others could not follow. They wanted the promise without the pruning. They wanted the calling without the cost. They wanted the outcome without the surrender. But your life has been marked by something rarer. You kept returning to God, even when your heart was tired. You kept searching for what was true, even when illusion looked easier. You kept trying to stay aligned, even in imperfect ways, even through human weakness, even through tears. That is why the atmosphere around you is changing now. Heaven responds to surrendered endurance. Heaven draws near to the one who keeps choosing the narrow way when the broad way offers quicker emotional relief. You are being shown that obedience is never sterile. It is alive. It changes the air around a person. It alters what can remain attached to them. It shifts who can walk with them into the next season. It teaches them to recognize the difference between what flatters the flesh and what strengthens the spirit. Abraham became a carrier of promise not merely because he was chosen, but because he continued saying yes through the kind of process that strips away false reliance. You are tasting that same mystery now. What has been tested in you is being purified, and what is being purified is becoming able to carry more. So do not despise the tests that came before this holy nearness. They were not signs that you had been forgotten. They were evidence that your life was being weighed for something significant. God was not trying to break you. He was teaching you where your strength must come from. He was revealing what cannot be trusted and what must be guarded. He was drawing you out of shallow dependence and into something steadier, quieter, and far more powerful. That is why the next movement of heaven over your life will not be wasted on you. You have been prepared through hidden places. And before this section closes, there is one practical note for those who feel mentally drained by long seasons of pressure and want help creating a calmer space to refocus. Some people find interest in a product called the Genius Wave or Genius Song, an audio program described as using sound patterns such as theta and gamma entrainment to support concentration, clarity, creativity, relaxation, and better mental flow in just a few minutes a day. It is presented as a simple digital audio tool for those who struggle with scattered thoughts, stress, mental fatigue, or difficulty settling their mind. If that seems relevant to you, you can look for the official information in the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with counterfeit versions and only use the official source if you decide to try it. Now the line becomes even clearer. The reason others could not follow is not always because they were evil, cruel, or openly against God. Sometimes they simply loved comfort more than calling. Sometimes they wanted certainty more than surrender. Sometimes they admired the language of faith, but when faith demanded movement, they stepped back and chose what felt easier to control. That is one of the loneliest truths you have had to learn. Not everyone who begins near you is willing to keep walking when the road becomes narrow. Not everyone can bear the weight of a life that is being led by God instead of by convenience. And that is why separation entered your story. Abraham lived that separation in a way that reaches into your season with striking force. He was called out from what was familiar. And from the beginning, that call created distinction. His path could not be built on the approval of everyone around him. His obedience required distance from old patterns, old securities, and old definitions of who he had been. Later, even within the wider circle of his journey, there came a moment when he and Lot could no longer walk in the same way together. The land could not hold both directions at once. Their choices were revealing their hearts. One looked first at what seemed immediately desirable to the eye. The other remained anchored in the deeper covenant of God. That is where your own life has been pierced. You have watched people choose what looked greener, easier, faster, more flattering to the flesh. You have watched some walk away from the slower road of trust because it did not offer quick proof. And perhaps part of you grieved not only their absence, but the fact that you could not make them understand why you had to keep following God. That pain is real. It is no small thing to continue without those you once thought would stand beside you. Yet this is one of the hidden costs of alignment. When God begins to shape a person for a holy purpose, every bond that cannot honor that purpose begins to strain. Abraham knew that strain. He knew what it was to keep building his life around a promise that others could not fully see. He knew what it was to remain in the place of trust while others were drawn by immediate appearances. And though those moments may have looked like loss, they were also protection. God was preserving the integrity of Abraham's path. He was making sure that the future attached to Abraham would not be governed by the appetites of those who did not carry the same obedience. In the same way, some people could not follow you because your next season could not be built on divided hunger. It could not be carried by those who wanted the benefits of your calling without the burden of your surrender. This is why you must not interpret every separation as failure. Some separations are mercy. Some endings are rescue. Some distances are the hand of God quietly preventing confusion from ruling your future. You may have wanted certain people to stay, to understand, to support the deep work God was doing in you. But support that depends on comfort cannot survive a true call. Agreement that lasts only while things are easy is not covenant strength. What God has been teaching you is how to keep walking when external reinforcement fades. That lesson is painful, but it is powerful. It teaches your soul not to make an idol out of companionship. It teaches you that divine direction must remain higher than emotional attachment. And still, this does not make you hard. It makes you clearer. There is a difference. Abraham did not have to become bitter in order to become distinct. He simply had to remain faithful. You are being invited into that same clarity. Not every person who left was meant to carry this chapter with you. Not every voice that doubted you was meant to speak into your next season. Not every relationship that weakened your discernment was meant to survive your growth. These realizations do not come to wound you. They come to free you. Once you see that God was guarding your path, you stop begging for what would have only diluted your obedience. This is where the message deepens. The ones who could not follow often mistook your restraint for weakness. They saw your patience and thought you lacked ambition. They saw your reverence and thought you were too cautious. They saw your waiting and assumed you had no power to move. But the truth was the opposite. You were strong enough to stay under instruction. You were mature enough to refuse what had not been given by God. You were wise enough to sense that not every open door was a holy door. That kind of strength is not loud, but it is rare. It is what keeps a chosen life from being hijacked by impulse. Abraham's distinction was not built on spectacle. It was built on trust that endured longer than appearances. That same trust has been separating you, shaping you, and carrying you through misunderstandings that others never had to face. And because you stayed the course, what looked like loneliness is becoming revelation. You are beginning to understand that the call on your life was never meant to be crowded by those who only wanted the visible blessing. It had to be protected for those who could honor the unseen process. So let this settle in your spirit with peace. The ones who could not follow did not stop what God planned. Their leaving did not cancel your promise. Their misunderstanding did not alter heaven's design over your life. As it is written, the Lord had said to Abram, "Look, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. That call still carries the same edge. It still requires departure. It still requires trust. And it still creates a path that only the obedient can recognize. You are on that path now. And though not everyone could walk it with you, God has made sure that what truly belongs to your future remains untouched. What these angels carry into your life is not vague comfort. Their assignment is precise. Heaven does not release this kind of presence without purpose, and the purpose touching you now has everything to do with protection, confirmation, and divine strengthening for what comes next. This is why the atmosphere has felt so charged around you. You are not only being comforted after difficulty, you are being positioned for movement. The two angels have arrived because your obedience has brought you to a threshold, and thresholds require clarity. They require covering. They require help that does not come from human hands alone. Abraham's journey reveals this in a powerful way. There came a time when heaven drew especially near to him, not merely to soothe him, but to speak with precision about what was coming. The nearness of God around Abraham was always connected to covenant, direction, and the unfolding of promise. That is what you are stepping into now. These angels are not a sign that your path is becoming casual or easy. They are a sign that your path matters enough to be guarded. They are a sign that what God planted in your life has reached a stage where it must be protected from interference, strengthened against fear, and confirmed against doubt. One part of their assignment is protection. There are dangers you have already avoided without even realizing how close they came. There were conversations that could have lured you off course. There were emotional impulses that could have altered your timing. There were moments when fatigue almost made you say yes to something that would have wounded your future. But heaven kept you, not because you understood every threat, but because God's mercy stood between you and what was not assigned to your destiny. That protection is still active. Even now, there are things being restrained, delayed, and removed because they cannot be permitted to corrupt the next stage of your calling. Another part of their assignment is confirmation. You have needed this more than you sometimes admit. When a person walks by faith for a long time, the mind can become weary. The heart can begin to ask whether it truly heard God, whether the sacrifices were real, whether the path was worth the cost. Confirmation does not always come because you are weak. Sometimes it comes because the assignment is weighty. Abraham knew this. He walked with promise over his life, yet heaven still drew near to reassure, to clarify, to make known that what had been spoken remained alive. That is what is happening for you. These angels are part of a heavenly answer to the weariness that tried to settle over your discernment. And then there is strengthening. This matters because the next level of obedience will require more than emotion. It will require inner steadiness. It will require a soul that can stay aligned even while movement increases. Heaven is not only helping you survive what was behind you. Heaven is strengthening you for what is ahead of you. The angel's assignment includes preparing your spirit to carry greater responsibility without losing tenderness, to walk in sharper authority without falling into pride, and to remain clean in heart while the pressure around you intensifies. This is sacred help. It is not noisy, but it is real. Think again of Abraham as he kept moving with God. The promise over his life was not sustained by natural ability alone. It was sustained by divine faithfulness. He needed moments where heaven touched the process and reminded him that he was not carrying covenant by his own strength. That is one of the deepest truths for you right now. You are not carrying this alone. You are not holding together your future by sheer effort. You are being assisted. You are being watched over. You are being strengthened in ways that your natural mind cannot fully map. The path feels weighty because it is significant. But significance does not mean abandonment. It means heaven pays attention. This is also why you must remain discerning. Angelic help does not remove the need for spiritual responsibility. It sharpens it. You are still called to guard your peace, to refuse compromise, to keep your inner life uncluttered, and to stay near God's voice. Protection does not mean carelessness. Confirmation does not mean passivity. Strengthening does not mean self-reliance. It means you respond with even greater reverence because you understand that heaven is moving with intention around you. Your life is not casual ground. It is consecrated territory. And as this message settles into your spirit, let your response be simple and sincere. If these words are helping you recognize what heaven is doing around your life, a gentle like is one quiet way of showing that this message has found you at the right moment. Sharing it may place this encouragement before someone else who has been walking through hidden obedience and needs confirmation not to give up. Subscribing helps you stay connected as this journey continues to unfold, especially in seasons where your spirit needs steady reminders of what God is doing beneath the surface. And for those who feel led to support this work in a practical way, there is also a donation option in the description, helping these messages continue to reach people who are tired, searching, and trying to remain faithful in difficult hours. But above all, return your heart to the spiritual center of this moment. The two angels have not arrived to entertain your curiosity. They have arrived because your path is under divine attention. They have arrived because protection is needed, confirmation is timely, and strengthening is now being released. Abraham walked long roads under the care of a faithful God, and you are walking under that same faithfulness now. So breathe deeply, steady your thoughts. Keep your spirit yielded. Heaven is not merely observing your next steps. Heaven is helping secure them. Now the pressure begins to make even more sense. Darkness reacts when a person is close to a greater level of alignment. It does not waste its energy on what poses no threat. It grows louder when your obedience begins to interfere with plans that were meant to keep you confused, delayed, weakened, or emotionally entangled. That is why this recent warfare has felt unusually intense. It is not because heaven has stepped back from you. It is because heaven is moving you forward. And the kingdom of darkness can sense that your next season will carry weight. The two angels have not only arrived because you followed every step he planned, they have also arrived because the battle around that obedience has entered a sharper stage. Abraham knew something about this hidden resistance. His story is often remembered through promise, blessing, and covenant. But woven through it was the reality that every sacred advance carried opposition. Not always in the form of obvious attack, but through strain, uncertainty, delay, human weakness, and the constant temptation to respond in the flesh rather than remain under God's timing. That is how spiritual warfare often works. It does not always begin with open terror. Sometimes it begins with exhaustion, sometimes with impatience, sometimes with the suggestion that you should solve in your own strength what God never asked you to force. Sometimes with the subtle invitation to become practical in all the wrong ways, until you slowly step out of trust and into self-management. That is why your warfare has not only been around circumstances, it has pressed against your inner life. It has tried to wear down your discernment. It has tried to make you restless with God's pace. It has tried to fill your thoughts with urgency that does not come from heaven. It has tried to convince you that holy waiting is weakness and that restraint is wasted time. But none of these thoughts are innocent when they come in seasons of divine positioning. They are strategic. They aim at your agreement, because once a person breaks agreement with God, confusion begins to multiply, Peace drains out, impulse takes over, and what was meant to be carried in faith becomes mishandled through fear. Abraham stood in places where that battle was real. He had to learn again and again that the flesh cannot produce what only promise can sustain. He had to learn that not every pressure should be answered by immediate action. That lesson is standing before you now. Darkness would love for you to act from agitation. It would love for you to speak from offense, choose from fatigue, connect from loneliness, or move from panic. It would love for you to mistake internal pressure for divine permission. But the very fact that you feel this battle so strongly is a sign that something significant is being guarded. Hell does not surround emptiness with this kind of tension. It presses hardest where there is something worth interrupting. So you must understand the hour correctly. This is not the time to become careless with your thoughts. This is not the time to let wounded emotions start deciding your direction. This is not the time to go back and reopen doors God already closed in mercy. The spiritual atmosphere around you is active, and because it is active, your posture matters even more. Stay low before God. Stay honest in prayer. Stay watchful over what enters your mind and spirit. Stay faithful in small acts of obedience. Many believers imagine warfare only as a dramatic confrontation. But often the holiest victory is simply this: refusing to step out of alignment when pressure demands a quick reaction. That was one of Abraham's hidden victories. He was not sustained by spectacle. He was sustained by returning to trust, returning to the altar, returning to the promise, returning to the voice. That pattern must become precious to you now. When warfare intensifies, you do not need to invent a new foundation. You return to what God already spoke. You return to what He already showed you. You return to the place where your soul first recognized His leading. The enemy wants novelty because novelty often disguises distraction. But your strength in this hour will come from holy repetition, from continuing in the same surrendered posture that brought you this far. Do not misread your exhaustion either. Sometimes fatigue makes a person think they are failing, when in truth they are simply carrying the weight of transition. The enemy often tries to interpret normal strain as proof that you missed God, but strain is not always disobedience. Sometimes it is the stretching that happens when your spiritual capacity is being enlarged. Abraham carried long stretches of tension without that tension meaning he had fallen outside the will of God. In the same way, your present battle does not prove God's absence. It may be proving the opposite. It may be revealing how near you are to a more defined expression of what He promised. This is why the angel's arrival matters so much in this section of your journey. They are a sign that heaven has not left you alone in the heat of this conflict. They are a sign that divine help has been assigned where demonic resistance tried to increase. They are a sign that your obedience has called forth support, not because you are fragile, but because your next steps matter. And in this tightening hour, let one truth anchor you with force and peace. Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield, your very great reward. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. That is not only ancient reassurance. It is present covering. It is the answer to the warfare pressing around your life now. God Himself is your shield, and what He shields, darkness cannot finally devour. This is the part of the journey where everything becomes more serious. Because when heaven draws near and darkness begins to react, a choice always rises to the surface. It may not look dramatic from the outside. It may not even look dangerous to people who do not understand spiritual alignment. But in the realm of the Spirit, it matters deeply. The warning before you is not only about avoiding obvious sin, it is about refusing subtle misalignment. It is about not stepping outside the rhythm God established for you just because pressure has become intense. It is about guarding the small doors that become large breaches when they are left unattended. Abraham's life carries this warning with quiet force. He was a man of promise. Yet even in his journey, there were moments when human urgency tried to interfere with divine timing. That is one of the most searching lessons in his story. A person can be chosen, called, and deeply loved by God, and still face the temptation to solve with the flesh what must be fulfilled by faith. That temptation is standing near many chosen ones in this hour. It does not always come dressed like rebellion. Sometimes it comes dressed like practicality. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. Sometimes it whispers that since the promise seems delayed, you should take matters into your own hands. But not every solution is obedience, and not every open option carries the breath of God. This is why you must slow your spirit and listen carefully. The enemy does not always need to destroy you openly. Often he only tries to shift your agreement. He tries to move you one step off the path. One compromise in your inner life. One connection you know is not clean. One decision made from fear instead of trust. One moment of yielding to despair and calling it realism. These things may seem small to the natural mind, but spiritual misalignment often begins with what people dismiss. Then over time, the soul grows foggy. Peace begins to thin out, and clarity becomes harder to hold. That is why this warning comes with love, but also with weight. Do not play with what God has told you to leave alone. You have not come this far to lose discernment at the edge of breakthrough. You have not endured hidden tests only to become careless when heaven is already moving around you. You have not been carried through lonely obedience to now hand your direction over to emotion, fatigue, or human opinion. There is too much attached to your yes. There is too much resting on your continued alignment. What God is building in your life is holy, and holy things must be protected from mixture. This is not about fear-based living. It is about reverence. It is about understanding that there are moments when a soul must become very deliberate in what it allows, what it entertains, and what it agrees with. Abraham's story shows that even a faithful person can feel the strain of waiting. He knew what it was to stand between promise and fulfillment. He knew what it was to carry words from God while still facing long stretches of uncertainty. Yet the deeper lesson is this: delay never gives permission for disobedience. Pressure never gives permission for compromise. Confusion never gives permission to abandon the path. If anything, these moments call for greater tenderness toward God, greater restraint, greater attention. They call you back to prayer, back to stillness, back to the memory of what He already said. When the road feels tense, the answer is not to become impulsive. The answer is to become even more anchored. So hear this warning in the spirit it is being given. Do not reopen what God closed. Do not chase what He did not bless. Do not explain away convictions that once protected you. Do not numb yourself just because the battle feels long. Do not turn holy caution into self-sabotage by calling it weakness. The very discomfort you feel around certain choices may be the mercy of God keeping you from a wound you cannot yet see. Pay attention to that mercy. Honor it. Let it interrupt you. Let it slow you down before you move in a direction heaven never assigned. Right here, let your agreement be simple. Comment, "I stay aligned." That confession matters because your mouth must sometimes reinforce what your spirit knows. There is power in naming your stance before God, not for performance, not for appearance, but as a personal act of agreement. You are choosing alignment over impulse. You are choosing trust over panic. You are choosing covenant over convenience. And that choice is not small. It is shaping what can safely enter your next season. The warning is urgent in the deepest sense, but it is not hopeless. God does not warn you to shame you. He warns you to preserve you. He speaks before the fall because mercy still stands near. He corrects before damage spreads because his heart is still toward you. This is why conviction is a gift. It is the hand of heaven on your shoulder saying, "Do not go that way." Not because joy is being withheld from you, but because your future is being guarded. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. That word meets you exactly here. Your understanding may feel restless. Your emotions may want quicker relief, but your safety is in trust. Your strength is in surrender. Your peace is in staying where God's hand can continue to lead you. The warning is clear because the calling is great, and the path forward still shines for the one who refuses to step out of alignment. And now you arrive at the part of the journey where what was hidden begins to gather form. This is not the end of the process, but it is the place where honor starts moving toward you with greater visibility. Your crown is being prepared, not in the shallow sense of public applause, not in the fragile sense of human admiration, but in the deep spiritual sense of entrusted authority, matured identity, and a life that can carry weight without collapsing under it. What heaven places on a person is never decoration alone. It is responsibility. It is stewardship. It is the visible sign of something that has already been forged in secret places long before anyone else could recognize it. That is why the path had to be difficult. A crown without crushing would feed pride. Authority without surrender would become dangerous. Blessing without inner formation would destroy the one receiving it. So God, in His wisdom, allowed the hidden years to do their work in you. He allowed the unanswered prayers to deepen your trust. He allowed the losses to strip away false dependence. He allowed the lonely roads to make your ear more sensitive to His voice. None of it was wasted. It was all preparing you to wear what lesser versions of you could not have carried safely. Abraham's story reaches a sacred tenderness here. He was not only called to leave, he was shaped to carry covenant. He was not only given a promise, he was made into the kind of man through whom that promise could live on the earth. That is the difference many people miss. They want what God can place in their hands, but they resist the deeper work of becoming the kind of vessel that can hold it with reverence. Abraham was formed through movement, through waiting, through testing, through repeated invitations to trust beyond what the eye could prove. By the time promise unfolded more fully, he was no longer the same man who first heard the call. The road itself had enlarged him. That is also what has been happening in you. You are not merely getting closer to a blessing. You are becoming someone different in the approach to it. You have more discernment now than before. You recognize the cost of compromise more clearly. You understand that peace is more precious than applause. You know that obedience, though painful at times, protects the soul from fractures that success alone can never heal. These are not small developments. They are signs that heaven has been preparing your inner life to match the weight of your next assignment. So when it is said that your crown is being prepared, hear it in this holy way. Your authority is being readied. Your testimony is being strengthened. Your credibility in the Spirit is increasing. The things you endured without becoming bitter have become part of that crown. The tears you shed while still choosing trust have become part of that crown. The temptations you refused, the doors you did not force, the wounds you did not use as excuses to rebel, the patience you practiced when you wanted immediate relief. All of it has become material in God's hands. Heaven builds differently than the world. It uses hidden faithfulness as royal substance. Abraham carried this mystery. He became a father of faith not because he never trembled, but because he kept returning to trust. He kept yielding, he kept walking. And over time, what began as a personal journey became a generational mantle. That is how crowns are prepared in the kingdom of God. They are formed through repeated surrender until a person's private obedience becomes broad enough to bless more than themselves. Your story is moving in that same direction. There are people who will draw courage from what God has done in you. There are lives that will be steadied because you did not quit in the middle. There are future moments of guidance, healing, wisdom, and breakthrough that will flow through the authority being formed in you now. But you must also understand that a crown in the Spirit is not only honor, it is also burden rightly carried. It means you will have to remain humble where others become inflated. It means you will have to remain clean in motive where others become intoxicated by influence. It means you will have to remember the hidden places where God sustained you, so that when visible increase comes, you still walk with gratitude and trembling before Him. Abraham's greatness was never that he made himself important. His greatness was that he stayed under the hand of God long enough for covenant to shape him. That is the kind of greatness being prepared in you now. One that does not need to shout because its weight is already known in heaven. So do not despise the final stretches of preparation. Sometimes the soul becomes restless right before increase, because it senses movement but cannot yet fully hold it. Be patient there. Let God finish what He is doing with precision. Let Him fasten humility where honor is about to rest. Let Him settle your identity so deeply in Him that no outward change can unbalance you. What is being prepared for you is not fragile. It is not empty recognition. It is something heaven can trust in your hands because heaven has watched your heart in secret. And let this word anchor the whole matter with strength and peace. Abram believed the Lord, and He credited it to him as righteousness. Genesis chapter 15, verse 6. That is the root beneath the crown. Belief, trust, continued surrender. That is how Abraham was established. And that is how you are being established now. Your crown is being prepared because your faith has not been meaningless. Your obedience has not been forgotten. Your hidden walk has not gone unseen. What heaven is placing over your life is being formed from a history of trust. And because it is formed that way, it will carry the fragrance of God when it finally rests upon you. And now you step fully into the meaning of all that has been unfolding around you. The journey was never only about surviving confusion, resisting darkness, or enduring the loneliness of obedience. It was always leading here, to the place where you stop apologizing for the path God chose for you and begin to walk in it with steadiness, reverence, and peace. This is not arrogance. This is not self-exaltation. This is the quiet strength of a soul that has been tested, corrected, refined, and carried. You are no longer standing where you once stood. You are not hearing with the same ears, praying with the same depth, or seeing your life through the same lens. Something in you has matured. Something in you has awakened. Something in you now knows that the God who led you through hidden places will also lead you through open doors. That is why fear must not govern this next movement. Fear had its chance. It tried to stop you in the waiting. It tried to weaken you in the silence. It tried to distort your vision through disappointment and delay. But fear is not the voice that has carried you this far. God carried you. Mercy carried you. Truth carried you. The same hand that preserved Abraham through uncertain roads has preserved you through yours. And now you are being invited to walk forward without shrinking, without false humility, and without the need to keep asking permission from people who were never assigned to understand your calling. Abraham's story reaches its deepest beauty here, because his life became proof that obedience to God creates a future greater than the limits of human prediction. He did not see everything at the beginning, yet the more he walked with God, the more his life became anchored in what God said rather than in what circumstances suggested. That is your invitation now. Walk in what God has made clear. Do not build your next season around old fears. Do not let former confusion narrate your future. Do not return to smallness after heaven has shown you that your life has been under divine attention this whole time. The two angels arrive because you followed every step he planned, and that means your next step matters too. Walk it with confidence that remains humble before God and unshaken before people. This is also the moment to let prayer rise naturally from everything that has been built in your spirit. So even now, let these words become your own. Father, thank you for every hidden place where you kept me when I did not know how I would keep going. Thank you for every closed door that protected me, every delay that purified me, every sorrow that softened me instead of destroying me. Thank you for not abandoning me in the wilderness of questions. Thank you for sending help when my strength was low and for watching over every step I took in obedience, even when no one else could see what it cost. Keep my heart aligned with you. Keep my mind clear. Keep my spirit humble. Let me not step ahead of your will or shrink back from what you are asking of me now. Strengthen me to walk cleanly, boldly, and faithfully in the calling you have prepared for my life. Let what heaven has spoken over me be established in your timing and for your glory. Amen. That prayer matters because this final section is not only about understanding, it is about surrender renewed. It is about moving forward with your spirit in agreement. The crown being prepared for you will not rest securely on a divided heart. It will rest on a yielded one. So remain yielded. Stay teachable. Stay prayerful. Stay watchful. The strongest chosen ones are not those who never feel pressure. They are those who keep bringing their pressure back under God's authority until peace returns and direction becomes clear again. As this message closes, let your response also become part of the testimony. If this word has met you in the exact hour you needed it, a quiet like helps affirm that it found the right heart at the right time. Sharing it may place this encouragement before someone else who is walking through hidden obedience and needs a reminder that heaven has not forgotten them. Subscribing helps you remain connected to these messages as your journey continues, especially when you need steady words that call your spirit back into alignment. And for those who feel led to support this work in a practical way, there is also a donation option in the description, helping these messages continue reaching people who are tired, searching, and standing at fragile crossroads. But above all, hold on to the spiritual center of what has been spoken. You were led, not lost. You were watched, not overlooked. You were tested, not abandoned. You were separated, not discarded. You were warned, not condemned. You were strengthened, not merely comforted. And now you are being called to walk, not as someone still begging for a sign that God is near, but as someone who knows he has already drawn near. That is the shift. That is the holy transition. You stop living like a forgotten person and start moving like one who has been marked by mercy. So go forward in peace. Let your obedience stay simple and true. Let your spirit remain soft toward God and firm against compromise. Let no counterfeit voice pull you out of what heaven has confirmed. The path before you may still require courage, but it is not empty. It is watched over. It is covered. It is known. And because it is known by God, it does not need to be validated by the world. You are entering your highest assignment with heaven's attention resting over your life. Walk forward, chosen one. Walk steadily. Walk cleanly. Walk without fear. What began in hidden obedience is becoming visible purpose, and what heaven has set into motion for you will not return empty. The road ahead will still ask for faith, but now you know what your past has already proven. God sustains what He calls. He guards what He appoints. He finishes what He begins in the life that remains surrendered to Him. So when tomorrow comes, do not return to old hesitation. Rise with remembrance, rise with gratitude, rise with holy courage. The God who sent help to meet you here will keep leading you from this point on. And your best response is the same one that brought you through every previous chapter. Yes, Lord, I will follow. In the quiet after this message, let that yes remain with you. Let it settle deeper than emotion and stronger than fear. Let it become the hidden vow beneath your days. You do not need to know every turn in advance to walk with confidence. You only need to remain near the one who does. And as long as you stay near Him, what is meant for your life will find you in its appointed hour. The two angels did not arrive by accident. They arrived as witnesses that your obedience mattered, that your path was seen, and that your future is still under God's hand.